Ladies and gentlemen, she's back. Hello everybody, Edgy Psychic here, and at long last, the heavily anticipated Strive 2.0 update is finally here, bringing with it a brand new stage, a comedic amount of nuclear-level nerfs, and the grand return of Gem Kudoberry, a character that, if you can't tell by the Vocaloid music playing in the background right now, is a character I wanted back for quite a while ever since I started playing Plus R last year. At the time this is being recorded, the update has been out for around 2 weeks, and so far I'm enjoying it quite a bit. In terms of my more general thoughts on the update, I really appreciate how the game overall feels a lot less volatile compared to previous seasons. With things like Wild Assault getting replaced with Counter Blitz, and the entire cast receiving various nerfs, tweaks, and reworks to not only better highlight each character's unique strengths and weaknesses, but also lower the overall damage of the game, has led to a game that feels a lot more fair and requires a bit more thought being put into it. Granted, this is still Strive. Most of, if not the entire cast, has at least one combo that does 50% of your health on wall break, and quite frankly I wouldn't have it any other way, but it does feel better knowing that I have to work a little bit harder for those combos, and that there are overall far less moments where the entire match is decided based on one decision one player made. Not only leading to matches lasting a bit longer, but also a lot more importance being put on smaller decisions as a result. But those are just my general thoughts on the gameplay side of things, and 2.0 is quite a bit more than just a big balance patch, so why don't we get into the specifics, starting with... Okay, so this is probably going to be a brief segment since the game really didn't change much visually, so instead I'm going to go over a handful of topics regarding the visuals, starting of course with the brand new stage, Cradled by 4 Beasts. And right off the bat, I really appreciate how certain parts of the stage are very clearly inspired by the China stages from Plus R. Most notably with the left wall break area looking very similar to how the China stage appeared in Slash, but I also like how the starting area takes a lot of cues from the Azuka version of China. Granted, I'm mainly saying that because they both take place on a rooftop area. It's not exactly one-to-one like the left area I showed earlier, but there's still very clearly some inspiration. But if you want something more than just remixes and callbacks, you're in luck, because if you break the wall on the right side of the stage, you get taken to a more original and absolutely beautiful outdoors area. Is it the most gorgeous set piece in the game? No, not really. I'd say that award either goes to the forest section from Lap of Kumai, or just the entirety of Fallen Prayers, but even so, it's still beautiful in its own way, even though I'm not really sure what this area is supposed to be. Personally, I'm leaning towards it either being a garden, a farm, or a park. But regardless of what this area is supposed to be, the imagery of a vast field with giant tourist statues coupled with this single person in the background caring for the plants alongside this funny little bird on the left just comes together to give this segment of the stage a really relaxing and peaceful vibe compared to the other two segments' bustling city vibe. So overall, 8 out of 10. Love this stage, and I look forward to playing on it a shit ton in the future. Okay, so now for the UI skins, and honestly on their own, I got nothing much to say about them. What few there are in the game at the moment do look really nice, even though I'm probably just going to stick to the new default stuff. However, I would be remiss to not bring up the fact that alongside the ability to customize the UI to your liking, also comes a Battle Pass system starting next month. Dear God, I am fucking scared! And if you can't tell by that reaction, I do not fucking like Battle Pass systems. I think they are FOMO-fueled bullshit designed to scare players into spending money for items they may not even want in the long run, while also forcing them to grind games out to the point where it starts feeling more like work than an actual fucking video game. I know this, because I used to play Brawl Stars actively, and when they started introducing their Battle Pass system, after like the third fucking Battle Pass, I was so thoroughly burnt out I had to take a long-ass break from the game, which eventually just led me to stop playing that game as a whole. Granted, there is a chance that Arxis is going to handle it the same way they handled Grand Blue's Battle Pass system, where basically after the current pass ends, you just have to wait a few months in order to buy what was on the pass as regular DLC. So if they handle it like that, I'll be more forgiving of it since it'll inherently cut out a lot of the FOMO bullshit, but regardless, I'm still fucking scared, so let's change the topic to Jam's new design, shall we? So when I first saw Jam's new design, I was a little iffy on it since it reminded me a lot of her River City Girls 2 design, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about her grand return to Guilty Gear being based on a guest appearance. but now that I've had quite a few hours with the character, and have gotten used to looking at her, while I still prefer her design from the older games, there's a lot of things I really like about her new look. The white jacket contrasts nicely with all the orange she has on her, separating what was normally a traditional Chinese-style dress into two distinct articles of clothing is a nice change of pace, and while Daisuke did go crazy with the belts again, her stomach is now showing, so combine that with the fact that you can put glasses on her, and she kinda gives me MILF vibes now, and you will never hear me complain about that shit in the slightest. But of course, what kind of Jam fan would I be if I didn't mention what is hands down the greatest part of her new design? Usagi. Whoever came up with the idea to have Jam not only holding a rabbit throughout the entire match, but having said rabbit shift positions and hop around her body constantly, deserves a giant-ass raise, because honestly, this is absolutely adorable. I love it. So, yeah, that's everything I have to say in regards to visuals, so why don't we get to the part that you all came here for. So when discussing her gameplay, I feel like the best place to start is her gimmick, Breath of Asanagi, a move that, depending on which button you press, will enhance the next use of one of 3 special moves. The moves in question being Ryujin, a high-flying dragon kick that is an amazing combo ender and, when enhanced, has a follow-up attack that only activates when using combo. Gekkerin, a fiery overhead kick that can cross up when used really close to the opponent, and gains way faster frame data when enhanced. And finally, Retsui, a drop kick that hits low and gains an attack boost when enhanced. Coincidentally, Gekkerin and Retsui happen to highlight a core strength of her Strive version specifically, her shockingly good mix-ups. Since not only do you have the obvious high-low mix, but fun little fact about Retsui, before the actual kick comes out, Jam will briefly enter an airborne state. And while this does mean the move can be hit by anti-airs, which is quite frankly a bizarre thing to say about lows, it also means there's a decent chance your opponent won't even know they're about to be hit by a low. Doubly so if you use Chojin, a command jump that slightly changes the trajectory of your enhanceable moves. So when you take all of that and throw in her crouching kick and, well, her throw into the mix, you're left with a recipe that'll leave your opponent guessing what the hell they're supposed to be doing on defense, which, in my opinion, is insanely fun. And all of this is not even touching on what has personally drawn me to the character ever since I started playing her in Plus R. The fact she has great mobility and garbage range. Let me explain. So while Jam never had the outright best mobility, she does typically land within the top 5, having a really good run speed and air dash alongside some unique movement tools, like a command dash that, while having less follow-up options and Strive being restricted to either a single follow-up attack or an option to stop it early, is still a relatively good approach tool. And if you happen to be feeling really ballsy that day, you can easily get to the other side of the screen by intentionally whiffing Ryujin. So in terms of getting where you want to be on screen, she doesn't really have any problems with that. Controlling that space, however, that's a different story, since all of her buttons either lack range or are incredibly risky on whiff and or block, meaning that actually getting in on your opponent is going to be an uphill battle, slightly offset by the fact that she has a terrific combo game and mix-up game. So when you throw in her ability to enhance certain special moves into the equation, you're left with a character that, while you can mash buttons and get good results out of it, you're overall more rewarded for thinking about the current situation and what tools you have at your disposal. And since one of 2.0's main goals was to increase the amount of meaningful interactions that happen per match, I personally can't think of a better character to start the season off with. So long live the year of the horse. It's the year of the horse. Since I've already made it abundantly clear that I absolutely loved the 2.0 update, I'm instead going to wrap things up by speculating on who the last 2 characters with the Season Pass are going to be. Because at the time of recording this, we only really know the first 2, and obviously Jam's already out, with Urlokai being set to release sometime this summer. Personally, I don't think we're going to get any more returning characters in this pass, assuming we're exclusively talking about the mainline fighting games, because there's only really 7 characters from previous games that haven't been brought back yet, and since a lot of the hype surrounding modern season passes comes from fans excited to play their favorites again, I think it makes a lot more sense for them to save those characters for future season passes. But as for new characters they could add, well, there's a lot of lore-exclusive characters that I think would make great additions to the roster. A good example of one is Gabriel. In lore, he's Potemkin's commander-in-chief and the president of Zep, and from what I've seen of Expert Story Mode, it's implied he's around the same power level as Slayer. So with all that in mind, I think he would be a fun combo grappler, having a lot of mobility and high damaging combos in exchange for said combos being reliant on a much weaker command grab. Another route they could take for new characters is pulling from spin-off material. Some examples of this being Dr. Paradigm, Valentine, and Azuna, all three of which made their series debut in the technically mainline game Guilty Gear Overture, and all three of which are the only characters from that game that have yet to be playable in a mainline fighting game yet. Out of these three, the one I would like to see the most is Azuna, mainly because I like his design and I think he can have an interesting playstyle based around summoning yokai. And I'm not even going to bother coming up with a segue for this last one since this is mainly a joke pick that has slowly grown on me over time. Daeyun. She has absolutely no plot significance, nor any interesting powers or skills they could base a moveset on. She is just Haeyun's maid, and that's it. And honestly, it would be really fucking funny if she got in. So, yeah, that's everything I have to say in regards to 2.0. Overall, I think the patch was a home run, especially for the characters I chose to play, but these are just my thoughts. What did you guys think of the update? Did your guys' main come out unscathed, or were they a little too close to the blast radius for your liking? Be sure to tell me all that and more in the comment section down below, and until next time, this has been OMG Psychic, signing out.